Attorney Davis Younts here. Listen, this is part 2 in our series where we're talking about critical issues related to representation and voting. And we're going to focus on Texas in some respect for the next 2 videos, because now that we've talked kind of about the history of the census, the legal foundation for where it comes from, and gerrymandering, there's some stories out of Texas that really help kind of underline what's happening. So I want to talk about what's happened in Texas. So Texas has looked at what happened with the census. They've looked at the way redistricting was done both in their state house and Senate, as well as their congressional seats in Texas. And Governor Abbott and the Attorney General are looking at redrawing those district boundaries to do them properly, consistent with federal law and consistent with ensuring that there is equal representation for the citizens and the voters of the state of Texas. Now, what's happened, and this has happened several times before in the state of Texas, is the Democrats are a minority in the state assembly in Texas. And so what they have done, they've been ordered to show up. Their job is to show up and participate in the government of the state of Texas. And what they have done is they have literally fled to states like Illinois and New York, to Chicago, in order to defeat quorum. Because all legislative bodies have these rules about quorum. There has to be a requisite number, typically it's 2/3, present in order to conduct official business. So what's happened is, rather than actually showing up, doing their job, and confronting the issues, the Democrats in the state of Texas are attempting to undermine the will of the people, the votes of the people, and saying, even though we lost and we're the minority party, rather than actually showing up and doing our jobs, we're going to run away to blue states where we think we'll be protected, and we're going to prevent the state of Texas with moving forward with important legal issues, including relief for flood victims in Texas, as well as the redistricting that needs to be done in Texas, in accordance with federal law, in accordance with the census that was completed. So again, it's a fascinating issue to see that there is some historical precedent for Texas Democrats when they lose elections, rather than doing their job, staying put, and actually talking about issues, they try to undermine the will of the people. They try to undermine the Democratic vote of the people of the state of Texas, and try to stop anything from happening, and try to shut down the government by literally fleeing from the state of Texas. So as an attorney, I think there are some interesting legal issues that come up. First of all, there has been a discussion of whether or not these people who are fleeing could be charged with felony crimes. That's a really interesting question. Some legal theorists out there say they are receiving money. They're getting fundraising. They're getting money from outside dark money groups to actually live and be transported, stay in hotels and things like that. They've also been getting money to help pay the fines that they receive of $500 a day for not being present there. So some people have argued potentially a felony bribery case could be made, because essentially they're being paid by third parties to withhold government action. In other words, they're being paid, they're being supported financially to avoid doing their job and to prevent government action from occurring. That could meet some definitions of bribery. I don't really think that has a lot of legal legs to stand on. It would be difficult to prove, but it is a legitimate legal theory, and I don't think there's anything wrong with the state of Texas considering pursuing those charges, particularly when you start to look at where the money is coming from and why these officials are being paid and financially rewarded for withholding government action by fleeing the state. The other question is, can they be arrested and brought back to the state of Texas? And this is interesting. The Attorney General in Texas, Attorney General Paxton, has issued an opinion that they do have the authority to do that the governor or the Attorney General's office could issue warrants for their arrest and bring them back and force them to be present for the legislative session. So again, I do think there is strong legal precedent for that. Of course, the challenge, which is just a classic challenge, is they're in states like Illinois and New York, where they assume the governors would not support their extradition. But a wrinkle in this is whether or not the federal government would be authorized to or would be allowed to use resources like U.S. Marshals to help Texas follow through on the warrants for the arrest. So those are kind of fun, speculative things to talk about, but I really want to dig into what is the more fundamental issue here. And the fact of the matter is, it is not only weak and cowardly for these elected Democrats to do this, it is actually an intentional undermining of the will of the people of Texas. Now, the United States is a republic, not a democracy. The Republic of Texas came into the United States and has a representative form of government. But that's the thing. By fleeing, by not doing their job, by trying to subvert the rules through political trickery and not show up when the legislature is called to session, they're intentionally trying to undermine the will of the people, the votes of the people, and the duly elected authority and constitutional responsibilities of the government of Texas. So one of the questions that's been asked is whether or not they can simply be removed from office. If they do not show up, could they be declared vacant, be declared to have abandoned their office, and by virtue of that, lose their seat? I think if this drags on and went long enough, a case could be made under Texas law, under the Texas Constitution, for abandonment, and that could set up a very interesting scenario. But at some point, I think the state of Texas, the Attorney General, and the governor do need to not just bluff, but actually follow through on the threat to attempt to do something like that. There's some legal precedent to support it. It would make for some fascinating case law. But the bottom line is this is not right. Now, I'm not one that necessarily thinks we need to just, stand on tradition alone. But the bottom line is legislatures everywhere across the United States, even at the federal level, could try to play this game, could simply say, well, if we don't show up for an important vote, there is no quorum and nothing can be done. That is not the intent of the legislature. That's never been the intent of an elected representative form of government or these legislatures. That's not the purpose of it. That's not what's done. So these are liberal Democrats who are intentionally undermining the law, tradition, the will of the people of Texas to try to prevent things from being done because they lost elections, I guess in the hope that maybe they can be successful in the next election, get some headlines, gets them on woke media, but ultimately what it does is hurt the state of Texas, undermines our representative form of government, undermines the social compact and the things we agreed to. And I hope that the state of Texas, that Governor Abbott is going to move forward with some accountability for this. And keep in mind, every time this has been tried in the state of Texas in the past, all it has done is cause some media headlines, been used as some fundraising talking points, but ultimately has never successfully stopped the proper agenda from moving forward. It's just delayed it. And it's time to stop playing these games. It's time to grow up, act like adults, show up for your job, do your job. And Republicans in Texas, including the Attorney General and Governor Abbott, it's time for accountability. Don't shy away from this moment. Set solid precedent that there will be consequences for people who abandon their jobs, vacate their office, and don't follow through for the people of Texas. So thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Follow us on social media, and don't forget to watch the third part of this video series. Thanks. Take care. So at a very young age, I was 8 years old, and my parents were involved in a lawsuit against the state of Pennsylvania with the Homeschool Legal Defense Association. That had an impact on me, being involved in that, understanding that. So I took that forward and had an interest in the law that I've carried with me. I took an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. So every military member does that. So if the military members' rights are not protected, they're not protected for the rest of society. These are the individuals that are actually willing to risk their lives to fight for the Constitution and to protect society. Here is this. If you are a Christian, you need to understand that part of your Christian walk, part of your faith journey, is that God is going to call you for a moment. There will be a phone call that comes for you. And I ask you this, are you willing? Will you be willing when that phone call came? I praise God that I was willing to answer that call. It's why I'm here today. It's why I met some of the great men that are here, the people that are here.
So it's left to men like Davis Younts to fight for these Navy SEALs.
Yeah, so I was in law school when 9/11 happened, so I was a true believer back then, so I joined the Air Force, applied to the JAG Corps.
With Reaction is Davis Younts, a military defense attorney with Younts Law. Davis, thank you for being here today.
Riley, it's always an honor to join you.
Davis Younts has been instrumental in defending service members that they tried to kick out of the military for not taking that poison.
So why are the politicians in Iowa allowing it?
Fear. They're afraid to take a stand, and they're afraid to challenge this. If you're a Christian, your sovereign king, the king of the universe, has already given you an order. Your king has made a call to go into all the world and make disciples. The only question for us is, will we answer it?